This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so welcome to Shiatsu Level 1. This is actually my favorite form of acupressure. Absolutely love it, love receiving it, love giving it, and love teaching it, I can say. So let's first of all begin with the definition of Shiatsu. What exactly is it? Well, it's defined as a complete system of healing through touch involving stretching and stimulation pressure with body weight to improve the energy flow, circulation, and flexibility and body form. And let me tell you, if you've never had a shiatsu session, all of this really does actually occur. You feel very relaxed, even though it's not a full body massage as you would imagine, as you know a massage to be. But after a shiatsu session, you literally feel like you've just had a full body Swedish massage. That's how wonderful you feel afterwards. Sometimes people often try to relate shiatsu to Thai massage, but it's different. And we'll see what the differences are, especially if you are familiar with Thai massage. So the shiatsu therapists, we use our hands, thumbs, fingers, forearms, knees, and feet to stimulate the energy meridian channels of the body to ensure a proper flow of chi energy through the body. So shiatsu is one of those systems that primarily works with the meridians in the body. And some of you all may be familiar with the meridians, and if not, we're going to go over them as well. So the concept of ki comes together in what we call the three treasures. And the three treasures, according to shiatsu, is ki, jing, and shin. We define ki as the cohesive force at the point where energy is materializing. We have energy that is flowing within and without our bodies every single moment.
What you doing, FaceTime?
Mm, is that Jessica?
Yeah,
Who is that? Okay, everybody's back on mute. And then your Jing is the source of living substance and growth. And then the Shin is the energy of thinking, which equals consciousness. So when you look at these three treasures, so to speak, it is really everything that you are: consciousness, substance, growth, and energy. And without these three things, then you are literally null and void, because everything has consciousness, everything has substance and grows, and everything is made of energy. So being able to understand these three concepts will kind of make shiatsu a little bit more easier to learn, and also will help you in your understanding of therapy when you are engaging in Shiatsu with your clients. Now, two major therapy components, and I'm trying to break this down as simple as possible, because literally when you go through Shiatsu training, especially if you go to one of the Shiatsu institutes for training, you're going to be there for at least a week or two. However, I think you all are pretty smart and clever, so we're not going to take a whole 14 days to learn this information. So the two major therapy components that you need to be aware of are the meridian channels, which are the route through which the ki flows throughout the body, and the subo. And if any of you have taken any of the advanced Reiki courses with a Life of Peace, then you know that the meridians and the subos go hand in hand, because the subos are located on the meridians. And in Japanese, it means a subo means a jar. And so they act as the gateways into the energetic body. And again, we're going to be taking a look at these in just a moment. So get those two terminologies stored away: meridian channels and subos. So the body's need for therapy. Why is it that a body needs therapy? What are we trying to do here? Well, the first one is the kyo, which is depleted, empty, or underactive chi, especially for those people who don't get out and move around enough. Oftentimes, our energy can become complacent. And if you sit down long enough, you will find that sometimes when it's time to move, you have to give yourself an extra little nudge to get up and get going. So that means that you have now depleted, empty, or underactive ki. And then you also have jitsu. And sometimes a person can have excess, full, or hyperactive ki, and they just need to relax. So the jitsu is what we call too much energy. They can't keep still. And then you might have the dispersal, which is emptying or moving jitsu. And that is being able to equalize the energy so that the person has balance in their body, which then helps to create balance in life. And then you have tonification. And tonification is filling and strengthening any depleted, empty, or overactive areas of ki. So these are the reasons why the body is in need of therapy. Now, if you have your books, if you go with me to page 18, he talks about the comparison of Kyo and Jitsu. And he gives you a nice little chart right at the top of page 18. So again, if you're ever in need of wanting to understand what is going on in a person's body, then this is a very good chart to refer back to. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, so it says that the Kyo, which is depleted, empty, or underactive ki, and basically on our bodies, you can find Kyo as being sunken, painful areas. So the pain is there, and when you press on it, the pain activates, and you can actually feel it intensify in the body. And everybody has some areas like this, especially if they have an imbalance in the energy systems, in the meridians. Okay. So the Kyo is considered a little less obvious. Sometimes it shows up as passive resistance or no resistance. It's empty and it requires filling. It's underactive, leading to stiffness, and it is also slower to respond. There is always an underlying cause in Kyo, and it requires deep, sustained connection. And you're going to understand what that means when we get to watching how Shiatsu is done. And its tonification really affects the whole person. Then you have Jitsu, and that's knots, okay? That's overactive or hyperactive energy in the body. And most of the times that shows up as protruding from the surface. It is more obvious. So, it can be those swollen areas of the body. It can also be those tender areas of the body. So it's often more seen in terms of the hyperactive energy in the body. So it manifests as symptoms. It will give an immediate response to therapy, and it requires light, superficial connection or either none at all. And its dispersal affects the localized areas of the body. So I want you to just look at your body and just kind of do a little body scan. Okay. Take a few deep breaths. And you might want to just close your eyes if you're in that kind of environment. And I want you to just kind of scan your body with your consciousness from the top of your head, coming down over your face, your neck, shoulders, chest. Just kind of consciously scan your body and look for any areas of discomfort. And when you give attention to your body, even things that you might not have realized before, you can feel. So, what I want you to do is, and I know you got some, is to find either Jitsu or Kyo or both. So, let's just take a moment to do that. In your own body, any areas of underlying pain, any areas of sluggish energy, any swellings of any kind. Some may be obvious, and some may only show up with your conscious scanning of your body. Just make a note of it. All right, take another deep breath in and just release the scan. Anybody want to share what you found?
Hence shoulders. My shoulders
Mhm.
were like up to my ears.
Okay, and what is that, Kyo or Jitsu?
Um, I would say Kyo, but if you looked at me, you probably would say Jitsu because I think it was probably obvious. But I say Kyo.
Okay, pleated and underactive. Okay, anybody else? Okay, and you want me to start calling names?
I can
Okay.
go.
It's like I gotta hear from somebody besides April.
um, I noticed some jitsu in my head area and then also um, in my throat, or I don't know if it's thyroid area, but where my throat area is. Um, and some tonification like in my mid area, like my stomach, more towards the right side, but on my abdomen area. In that area, I noticed.
Okay,
Um,
all right, wonderful. That's good that you're able to recognize that. And you know, eventually you will also be able to, when you have a person lying on your mat, you will also be able to immediately sense those types of areas on them as well too. Okay, who else? Did you find any jitsu or kyo?
This is Omile. I found Keo behind my eyes, and it just felt very, I don't want to say heavy, but it feels exhausted. It feels like I've been staring at something too long. And then the lower back, my L3, L4, I can feel the jitsu. So it's a lot of activity back there. So.
Mhm. Well, I tell you what, in my butt cheeks, I feel a lot of jitsu because yesterday our dance teacher was mad at us and she worked us like horses yesterday.
Not mad at you.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh, what did y'all do while I was gone? Did y'all make her mad? It was intense. All right, okay. Anybody else? Is there anybody who didn't feel anything?
I didn't feel anything, Dr. Kaur.
You didn't?
No,
Okay.
I think I was like, I should feel something. I'm like, no, nope, nope.
No? Okay. Well, it's very, very rare that a person living in Western society doesn't have a little bit of one of the other.
I
Very,
felt
very rare.
relaxed as if I didn't open my eyes, I would probably. That's how I felt.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay. You know, it's a learned process and a learned skill too. I would definitely recommend just practicing it. And when it's obvious to you, just make a note of it. So sometimes even scanning, you may not really get it, but you may be standing up, let's say at the bus stop or something, and then you just rub your hand over your shoulder like, oh my goodness, the day is over. That would be something like Jitsu or Kyo. So it does happen for us. All right. Let me see who else is on the line here. Didn't say anything. Let me check the chat. Okay, nobody put anything in the chat either. Okay. All right, I'm gonna let y'all go with it. We're gonna continue. All right. All right. Now we also have some essential components of Shiatsu. Okay. And one of them is motivation, and that is genuine healing. One of them also is steadiness of breath, keeping the breath slow and steady. Strong and open hara, which harmonizes the body, mind, emotions, and spirit. Now, let me explain to you what the hara is. And I want you to take 3 fingers and place them right at the base of your navel. Now, where that 3rd finger is down on your lower abdomen, that area right there is considered your hara. And your hara is a major energy center in your body that houses the power of your body to move. So it is the central center of power of motion in our bodies. Every motion that we take comes from this center in our bodies that we call a hara. And you always want that space to be open and strong in order for the body, mind, emotions, and spirit to realize harmony. Another essential component of Shiatsu is relaxation and comfort. It should not be uncomfortable to have Shiatsu, and you and your client should be relaxed because your energy and their energy during a Shiatsu therapy is going to be mixing and mingling. Okay, so you should be comfortable and relaxed. The person should not be tense or holding their energy or holding their body in any way. Literally, they should be just like a wet rag, just there, and allowing you to do all of the motions and the movements. And another component is support rather than force. So if there is any part of your client's body that doesn't move well, there is never any attempt to force a movement. Again, shiatsu should not be painful, and it should always be extremely comfortable and soothing. Then the next one is positive connection. Because shiatsu is a touch therapy, all of your touch to your client should be very gentle, very inviting. You will also learn how to pay attention to your client's body. When something is not feeling right or you hit that area of Kyo and it's like, whoa, they give that little jolt in their bodies, then you'll know that you have to ease up, because remember, when you're dealing with Kyo, it's very light, okay? And when you make that deep connection, it should be soothing and not painful. All right, so remember these simple components of shiatsu: motivation, You know, why are you here? You're here for a healing. Steadiness of breath. Always start off with some breathing exercises to get the person relaxed and calm. Keeping in mind that you should motivate their hara and also give attention to your own hara. Be relaxing and comfortable, comfort rather than force, and a positive connection. So there are some rules also when it comes to shiatsu. And of course, you have all of these in your book, but you're more than welcome to go back and watch the video. And I think for this one, Carolyn, if you could send me a reminder, I will send out the slides in note form for these
Will do.
so that the specific list can be remembered as well. Okay. An empty mind, and we always say, let tuition guide you. Although when you learn shiatsu, you're going to be learn a certain number of positions, steps. They don't always have to go in a certain order, but you may find a natural flow for yourself when you're giving therapy, especially if you give therapy quite often. But really, once you sit with the person's body, because that's one of the things that we do before we actually even touch the person, we sit in a meditative and receptive state right at the head of the person. And we literally seek to align our energy with the energy of their bodies so that we can give them the best therapy. So, an empty mind, and I always say, let tuition guide you. Again, once you learn the basics, once you've done a few therapies and you feel pretty good about it, then you don't have to go through the positions according to how we're going to learn in this class. You can just go for what you know. Okay. One other thing that is important is perpendicular pressure. Okay. And what I mean by perpendicular pressure is I want you to hold your hands straight up and I want you to put your fingertips in your palm as if you're creating a right angle. This is what we call perpendicular pressure. And perpendicular pressure is used for tonification. That means you go
Stop right
directly
there.
in. Yes.
Do you mind turning on your video so I can see what you're doing?
No, I'm not turning on my video at 12 o'clock at night. I think I said that already.
Oh, okay, all right. Thanks.
Okay, but um, let me see if I can explain it a little better. Okay. Do you know what a right angle is? 90 degrees, the side of a box, the side of a book,
Yes.
where you have a line going straight up and a line going straight across. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so that is perpendicular pressure. That means your pressure on a person's body goes straight in. And we're going to watch some videos too. So you'll be able to see it. And as you're watching the video, I'll be describing it as well. So I've kind of got that base covered too. Okay. So perpendicular pressure goes straight in. It's for tonification and it attracts energy to the area. Now your non-perpendicular um, is used for dispersing jitsu. And non-perpendicular can be making a circular motion on the body. It could be kneading the body, and that's Knead, kneading, okay, like you knead dough when you're making bread, okay? It could be rocking, it could be shaking. Those are ways of dispersing jitsu. So you will find yourself circling, kneading, rocking, and shaking during the therapy. Whenever you run across Jitsu, remember, Jitsu doesn't require any force or perpendicular. It just requires, loosening up that area where that muscle is tight. Okay. We don't want to push in and cause more pain. We want to release the pain by loosening up that energy. And then you have stationary pressure. And stationary pressure is a hold. So that's holding the pressure 2 to 10 seconds. Stationary pressure. Then you have technical ability. And technical ability gives way to how the body is positioned. So there are certain things that you can do when the person is face up, and there are only certain things that you can do when the person is face down. There are certain things that you can do when the person is lying on their side, and also when they are sitting up. And we're going to observe all of these when we get to our actual hands-on therapy part. Then you have what's called continuity. And continuity is stationary and the moving hand. So sometimes our positions will be a holding position, and sometimes our position will be a moving position. And that goes back to understanding perpendicular and non-perpendicular as well. The continuity flows hand in hand with those two. Then your fluency is minimal effort moving. That means that the person literally has to let go of all of their muscle function. So when we talk about minimal effort movement, they shouldn't have to move at all. It's you that's helping the body to go into the different positions, and you do it without their help. Okay. And then, of course, you have to have empathy, and that's therapy with an open heart. Whenever you supply shiatsu to the body, you're doing it with one intention and one intention only, and that is to provide loving touch to the person's most inner self, and that is their energetic body. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at exploring the energy channels in Shiatsu. We have several different areas of meridians, and 14 to be exact, that we're going to be studying in the body. And let me see here. You know what? In our books, I was just looking through the pages here. In our books, they actually call the hara the tendon area. So sometimes you'll find that interchangeable. Some people will call it tendon, and some people will call it hara. Okay, so that's kind of a exchange on those words. Okay, so let's look at the shiatsu channels. Okay, the first one we're going to look at is the lung meridian. And as you can see here, the lung meridian flows through the front of the body going down the arms. Okay, so let's go ahead and put your fingers right on the inner part of your shoulders, where you kind of find that little indentation between your shoulder muscle and your breastbone. Okay, right in that little area. And if you take it from that area and just use one arm, okay, use one hand to go down one arm, because as you see, the lung meridian goes down both arms. So if you move over the inner part of the shoulder towards the anterior, okay, now we're going to activate those body mapping terminologies, okay, and you go all the way down across the area of the elbow band, all the way down through the thumb. That's the lungs, okay? So the lung meridian has 11 subos, and those are little pressure point areas where the energy enters into the body. And it goes right along the upper part, down all the way to the thumb. So just kind of trace that. And the reason why I'm having you touch your body is so that you become familiar with the meridian. Okay, keep doing it. Okay, from that inner part of the shoulder all the way down the front, down the front anterior of the arm, ending at the base of the thumb. Okay, now switch sides because I want you to feel it on both sides. All the way down. The ones in the arms are kind of easy to locate. Okay, what meridian is this? It's the lungs. So just feel it as you go down the interior of the arm, down to the base of the thumb. This meridian works directly with the energy of the lungs. And when you work on that, sometimes you will find that a person's breathing deepens during therapy. Okay, all right. So that's the lung meridian. Okay, where is the lung meridian? From the internal parts of the shoulders across the anterior part of the shoulder and the arms going down to the thumbnail. All right, very good. So just kind of feel that on your body. The next one is the large intestines, okay? And the large intestines has 20 subos. So we're taking the upper body subos first, the upper body meridians first, okay? So it has 20 subos, and this one actually flows from the forefinger and it travels up the anterior of the arm and then over under the armpits and extends across the anterior of the neck, and it ends underneath the nostrils. Okay, so using one hand, let's start at the forefinger, and we're going to go up the front of the forefinger, and then right when you reach that area of the thumb, you're going to cross over. And your arm just kind of turns around towards the back, and you go up along the outer part of the arm, come across the back of the shoulder, up the side of the neck, and across the cheek, and to the sides of the nose. Okay, let's do that again. coming along right over back of the elbow there, over the shoulder, up the neck, across the cheek, right around the midline of the cheek, and to the edge of the nose. That's the large intestine meridian. You can try it on the other side too. Just kind of become familiar with it. All right, large intestines. Okay, now go ahead and review the lung and the large intestines just to familiarize yourself with it. And the reason why we take so much time with the meridians is because that's what the whole therapy is about. It's about you working with the person's meridian channels. Okay, so where is the lungs? Internal part of the shoulder blades, coming down over the arm, anterior of the arm, all the way to the thumb. Then we're going to skip right over to that forefinger, come right back up toward the posterior part of the arm and up around the back of the shoulder, up the neck, across the cheek, and to the sides of the nose. Okay? All right, how's everybody feeling about that? Is it working for you?
I like it.
Okay, good. All right, so now let's look at the spleen meridian. Spleen meridian starts right, and it has 21 subos, and we're going to be taking a closer look at the subos a little bit later when we actually get into the acupressure therapy. But it has 21 subos, and it runs within the body's inner channels. So the spleen actually starts from the feet and come up. Okay, so here we are, right on the sides of the inner big toes. Then it comes up right over the posterior part of the ankles and the beginning of the calves. Then it swirls back around to the anterior, to the front of the body, goes up the inner part of the thighs, right along the inner part of the abdomen. And then when it comes up along the chest, it transitions to the outer part. It peaks where the lungs start, and then it comes back down to the inner part on the sides of the chest where the lower armpits are. Okay, so let's see if you can just kind of feel that on your body. Starting at your toes, coming up along the interior parts of the calves, coming back around to the front of the body, going up the inner part of the knees, up the inner part of the thighs, along the sides of the pelvic area, up along the sides of the torso, peak right at that little soft part of the shoulders, and then come right on down to the lower armpits. Okay, spleen channel. And I would definitely recommend that when you get ready to do your shiatsu stretches, that you just kind of consciously draw your meridians on your body so that you can begin to remember where they are. Okay, our next one is a little bit more complicated, and that's the stomach meridian. And as you can see, it starts at the outer parts on either side of the head, a little bit up into the scalp. And then it comes down and makes a V line to the eyes, right up the middle of the cheeks, and then it comes back down, goes along the interior part of the neck, just right along the throat area until you get right to the top of the chest. Then it balloons out, goes down the middle of the chest, the middle of the breast rather, and then it goes in straight along that channel, literally, of the stomach, and then down to the pelvic area. It goes across the hips and down the front of the middle of the legs, all the way down to in between the second and the third toe. All right, so that's the stomach. We're going to see if we can get through all of the meridians. Let's look at the heart. The heart starts right underneath the armpits. You're still drawing these on your bodies, okay, as you see them on the screen. Goes down your armpits, still on the front area, all the way down to the small fingernail. Okay, do it on both arms, looking at the heart. And you see how where it starts is literally right in alignment with your heart as it goes down the interior part of the arms. Okay. All right, everybody's good. That one's a very simple one. It only has 9 subos. Okay, now let's take a look at the small intestines. And the small intestine meridian, it also starts from the small finger and it goes up the posterior or the back of the arm. It makes a couple of zigzags along the scapulas, okay? And then it comes up on the side of the neck and circles around the cheek and kind of ends at the midline of the ears, okay? I don't know if you're going to be able to do that on yourself, but you get the picture, okay? You can definitely do the arm, but you can't follow it along your back part like that. But just know that it covers that area, the small intestines area. Okay, now let's look at the bladder meridian. We often do quite a bit of work on the bladder meridian because it covers a very wide range of the back. The bladder meridian starts right at the tip of the inner eyes. And it goes up along the middle section of the head, encompassing literally that governing vessel. And it goes all along the interior part of the back. So whenever you're working along those pressure point areas of the muscles along the inner back, you're working with the bladder meridian. Also the inner part of the buttocks, the middle part of the buttocks, along the back of the legs, all the way down to the small toes. So that whole back part of the inner back part of the body, from the head down to the middle part of the legs and out to the sides, is the bladder meridian. Okay, next we have a posterior and an anterior meridian, and that's the kidney meridian. So the kidney meridian too also goes down, or rather goes up the middle part of the body, flowing to the interior parts of the chest, ending right around the heart area. And it starts right near the interior parts of the feet. And in fact, the kidney meridian is one that goes right to the very center of the sole of the foot. And you work on the kidney meridian on the the posterior of the inner leg, the very, very inner leg. So if you just rub the inner part of your leg going up, going into the inner thighs, and then on the front of the body, it comes straight up the middle, very in close alignment with the navel, more interior. Okay. Next is the pericardium. And we know the pericardium to actually be the physical sac that covers the heart. And it's also equated with our sexual organs. So it starts right at the top of the nipple, and then it makes its way straight down the center of the arm, all the way to the middle finger. So that one's kind of easy too, right at the tip of the breast, come up and over, straight down the middle of the arm to the middle finger. That's the pericardium. And then you have the triple warmer. Now the triple warmer is the three energy centers of our bodies. And, the three heat centers of our bodies. And the three heat centers of our bodies is the liver, the solar plexus, and the hara. Those are your three inner heat centers of your body, and we call them the triple warmer. And as you can see, it begins at the tip of the ring finger, and it flows on the back part of the arm, straight up the middle, going up the middle of the shoulders, along the sides of the back of the neck, and ending right at the tip of the eyebrow, outer tip of the eyebrow, triple warmer. And you will also find that in the general Shiatsu therapy, you're going to cover all the meridians, okay? Which is a very good thing. Knowing where they are is good, but once you get into your therapy, it's really going to be about the flow of the person's body. Okay, next is the liver meridian. And the liver meridian starts at the base of the big toe. Thank you. Starts at the base of the big toe and extends up the front to the ankle, then veering into the inner calf and up through the inner thigh and the inner hip. Then it goes up to the middle of the side of the torso and ends just on the side of the liver at the rib cage. Okay, that one is kind of a weaving one. Okay, starts at the front, goes a little bit to the back, comes back to the front, goes a little bit to the back, and then ends at the front. So that's one of the weaving ones. If you can just kind of imagine that or feel that. Okay, starting at your big toe, coming up the inner part of the leg, weaving around the back of the knees, then coming back out at the mid thigh, up along the sides of the inner thigh, branching out to the outer abdomen, right at the lower lumbar, or rather the upper lumbar area, and then coming around and stopping right on the sides of where the liver is. Okay. All right, let's see how many more we have. I think we'll stop after the meridians. Okay, now look at this gallbladder meridian. It's another interesting weaving one that kind of goes in and out and zigzags around the body. So literally, it's starting right at the sides of the eyes. Then it weaves up, it zigzags from the ears up past the temple areas to the upper scalp. Then it weaves back around again and comes up to the forehead and then drops back down again and goes along the outer part of the shoulders along the back. Then it zigzags around the upper part of the torso, then the mid back, then it zigzags again right on the lower part of the abdomen, and then it zigzags again back to the back, and then it goes along the outer part of the back of the thighs, all the way down to your fourth toe, where it zigzags back across the foot. Remember, Shiatsu focuses on the meridian energy centers. And in level 2 of Shiatsu, we're going to specifically learn how to treat certain meridians, but that's going to be in your next class, uh, in your level 2 class. All right, now you have the governing vessel. Governing vessel is our line of energy centers from the root all the way up to the crown, our central nervous system. That one's pretty easy. Then we have our conception vessel. And the conception vessel has 24 subos and it runs the anterior to the central nervous system. So that's straight down the middle of the body as well. Okay, so you have that nice little cycle of conception and governing vessel straight down the middle of the body. Anybody have any questions on the meridians? I know it probably seems a little foreign if you don't have any experience with it, but as you continue to do Shiatsu and learn the meridians, it's going to become second nature. So don't feel intimidated by them. Like I said, in the general Shiatsu therapy, sometimes you're thinking about the meridians, sometimes you're not. Okay, but there is specific meridian therapies that we're going to cover in Shiatsu too. All right, so getting acquainted with the meridians, we do what's called meridian stretches, and those are used to enhance the flow of energy through the entire body. We use them daily to keep the energy flow balanced, and all postures or position and hold. And then we also use modified versions of the stretches for comfort. And we always say, don't overdo any of the stretches. 15 minutes a day is good. So we are actually right at the top of the hour, and I think this is a good breaking point. So we are going to come back on Thursday, and we're going to get into some of the meridian stretches, and we're going to look at the basics of Shiatsu. We'll be able to watch the videos on Thursday when we come back. Anybody have any questions?
Do we still need the body on Thursday as it was stated in the email?
Yeah, you'll still need the body on Thursday. Yes, and Carolyn made the note that remember your person needs to wear something comfortable. Okay.
I was just gonna ask about that because even doing it myself and like my shirt was in the way and I was like, it didn't flow very smoothly.
Okay, yeah. Right. And usually, well, when I do my shiatsu, I usually have on t-shirt and leggings, something that doesn't prohibit movement at all. So something like t-shirt and leggings. I don't really recommend people have like short pants on. So if they could come, if they have like some sweatpants or something like that, or leggings, but definitely no jeans, no khakis, no button-down shirts, nothing loose and flowing. It should be close and kind of fitted to the body. Okay, so we're going to be working with your person. Let's go ahead and say the second half of class, so they don't have to be there with you right at the top of the hour, because we're going to finish up on the meridian stretches, and then we're going to get into some of the actual movements. Okay, any other questions? All right, so what I want you to do over the next few days is, well, over the next day, hold on, let me get to it. I want you to take a moment, when you're riding in the car, or you've got a little downtime tomorrow. I want you to take a moment in your books, and I want you to read the introduction through chapter 2. And that's going to be, no. I want you to read pages 14 through 32. So read that before you come back to class, because we've already covered the introduction, the basics to Shiatsu. So just familiarize yourself with pages 14 through 32. Okay? All right. So if there are no more questions, then we're going to go ahead and call it a night. And I will see you all back here. And for those of you who are from the Detox 2 class, go ahead and prepare yourselves to come to class next week on Tuesday and Thursday as well again. Okay? All right, beautiful ones. You all have a great night. Peace and blessings.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.